the country. We now want to get how the situation is on the ground, and I'm touching base with the Kakamega based reporter Alan Ochanda, who will be bringing us up to speed on how the situation is on ground. Ochanda, good morning, and how are you doing today as the schools reopen in Kakamega and the entire pretty much western region? What's the situation like? Are the schools ready to accommodate the students, Ochanda?
Well, Dennis, in all the parts of Western Kenya, only selected, isolated cases have been reported, especially in Budalangi, that is in Busia County, on the border county, where, of course, whenever floods hit the country, it bears the brunt of flooding of those, the wrath of the flood waters mixed with the nearby Lake Victoria and River Nzoia waters that normally pose a nightmare to the residents of Budalangi. And so to that effect, only a few schools in Budalangi have been affected. That is actually in Busia County. In Kakamega, I think not really, but at least 2 schools have been affected in parts of Malava. Not really being affected, but they are now acting as IDP camps, where families who were affected, who were living near swollen rivers, have now resorted to seek safer havens in those 2 schools. But we understand that in the other parts of Western Kenya, specifically Kakamega County, Bungoma, Vihiga, that is normally hilly, there are no cases where schools have not reopened. But of course, in the nearby the other side, the sides that are actually now bordering the Lake Victoria region, like Nyando, that's specifically schools like Kanduru or Seth. Those are some of the schools that have been affected. And so remember that those schools that have been affected, the ministry has directed that learners who belong to those particular schools should be redistributed to safer schools which have not been hit hard by the floods. But we spoke to some of the authorities here, the Regional Director of Education, Jared Obiro, and they assured that all is well. We are yet to also visit some of the schools here. You can see behind me, you can see different learners from different schools, both boys and girls, really dotting this particular town of Kakamega. We've been visiting bookshops and banks where parents are tagging along their daughters and sons, really just lining up and ensuring that they purchase school items, and also just banking school fees to ensure that their daughters and sons start off this second term, even though it's beginning quite late. This is the second time we are experiencing the school calendar being disturbed. Remember, the last time was during the COVID-19 pandemic, where school calendars were largely affected. And so due to the floods, of course, they never hit the whole country, but largely a larger percentage were affected. And so you can't really just decide that schools should reopen just because some have not been affected. And so, of course, due to the presidential directive was that schools be delayed. It was delayed for the for a week, and when it never subsided, he extended it for a second week. And we are expecting, when we go to those schools, you can see the parents and the learners. These are actually just opposite a bank here. You can see behind me, they are now reporting back to school. But we understand that they normally come in droves, especially during midday. But during these morning hours, we've been visiting, as I indicated earlier, they have been really flocking those bookshops and the banks to just ensure that they do their final touches to kickstart their second term. But Dennis, we are making our way to some of the schools here. Of course, the nearby Kakamega High School, Bishop's Dometic Girls, St. Peter's Nanias High School, St. Mary's, to just ascertain as to whether all learners are coming back. Because, of course, schools might be safe, but where they have come from, maybe they might have affected, and that may delay their reporting back to school. And so that is what we really want to ascertain. Talking to the school principals, talking to the Regional Director of Education, or the County Director of Education, to ascertain whether they have carried out a head count by close of business today, Monday, and ascertain that all learners are back to learning process. So, Dennis, we shall be catching up later when we touch base